Savon, Native Assets, coming straight off the back of an interview with David from Altered State Machine. Can't wait to hear all about that, buddy.
Great day. Testing. What's good, everybody? Happy to be on this for another one. Thank you all for organizing it, putting it together.
Amazing. Great to have you here. And if I look down, I can see I've got our friends in the UK still trying to connect. We're going to make this happen. It's going to happen. All right. But I think we should just kick things off very gently while we bring the guys up on stage. We've just had the Probably Nothing come out. So much great information in that. We love the way they do those. NFT bro, you got a bit of a write-up this week. What do you reckon about that?
Yeah, pretty stoked about that. Thanks for the team for giving me a shout out there. They reached out and asked for my latest NFT weekly news update as well, which was pretty cool to see that in there.
No, I thought that was a really nice touch as well, because I mean, with so many new people entering the space, that newsletter is going to be the go-to place to figure out what's going on. And I mean, without the content you guys are putting out, mate, there's no way you can keep up with this space. So that's amazing. Yeah, look, love it. Scotty P and Chris, I can see we're really having trouble getting you up here today. But we're going to keep moving along and we're going to keep trying to get you up because I want you guys in here. Now, Jerry, you've also got your own little spaces. I saw that going yesterday as well. What's going on with that?
Yeah, I saw you popped in there for a few moments. Looks like we actually ended up clashing with the down the rabbit hole space, which I didn't realise, which was a bit of a bummer. I'm not sure if their slot moved or not, but yeah, I'm doing a regular weekly slot with the Baseheads crew at the moment. So if you're not familiar with the Baseheads, I've got quite a few videos on my channel. Check them out. It's basically a YouTube channel that's been created by Robin Schmidt, who sort of blew up the Defiant channel during the last cycle. And it's a really fun space for everyone to come and join in and get involved with that one. So I won't show that too hard in this space, but yeah, that's a focus of mine at the moment as well.
No, and I really like seeing you up on the stage doing this, mate, because the more of us who are just out there engaging with the community, the better. Oh, I've got a request from Scotty P. Let's see if we can get him up on stage. All right. And as speaker, that will take a few moments for him to come up. And before we get into the weeds, Savon, regarding your interview yesterday, Altered State Machine are doing some amazing things at the moment, putting out a lot of information too. How was it talking with David yesterday?
It was good. I, was very mindful that they do go through a lot of AMAs and was trying to ride a balance of how do I make this interview something that's useful for people who don't have the extent of context that we do, but also make it something that folks like us can definitely get something out of. And I think we were able to ride that line. But yeah, I mean, we definitely covered some ground, and there were some things that weren't as clear before that I got David. We found a way for him to explicitly state in clarity that I think will definitely be helpful information for everybody. So we can get into that later.
And your channel, Native Assets, if anyone isn't following it, please follow everybody that's up here on stage and make sure you go to those links in their bios and go to their channels and subscribe, because these guys put in a lot of work if we want to support them. Now, we still can't get those other two up on stage. I'm trying to read the messages as we go. Now, Schiller, that recent interview you did with Jeff, man, that was hot. He has a lot of information and we don't always hear a lot from him. So that was a great interview to see. How was that for you?
Yeah, it was really cool. I think the notion of them wanting to bring a community, which I know is kind of a buzzword, but bringing the entire car community to the blockchain is something that I've not really seen, because we can look and say, okay, sports in general has a lot of different categories, collections, etc. that are there, but for racing and whatnot, that's not really in terms of like the collector hobby. So I think that's really going to be something that's defining in a way, and I think that similar to how back when NBA Top Shot had its boom, a lot of people started getting into basketball from that. I think that Adam's actually going to do a pretty kind of cool job of onboarding people from this gaming Web3 space into potentially collecting cars or taking a little bit more of an interest in the real world.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I love the whole team aspect of it. So I want to get into that a little bit later on as well, because the whole idea behind owning one of these cards, meaning you are helping create a team, coming together, bringing your pieces of track together, which I think all sounds really amazing. I'm trying to multitask here and get these other guys up on stage. Now, I think we should start kicking things off by following the path, if you will, because that leads through to so many other things like the future pass itself. So I'm going to start with you, Jerry. How did you find the whole process regarding, should we say, burning the seekers and going for amulets? Did you burn anybody?
Yeah, I sure did. I sort of knew for quite a while, I think it was the January update that they had that basically spelled out how many seekers you would need to get certain amulet types. So pretty much as soon as I read that, I went straight to OpenSea and swept as many of the void seekers as I could with the little ETH I had left in my wallet. And basically I've been sort of sitting on them since then. But I mean, a lot of people played the game of trying to, buy them and sell them in the meantime based on the demand, and it didn't really work out too well. When I bought them to when the actual sacrifice happened, I think the price was actually down a little, or maybe about the same. So it was more about getting the amulets for myself anyway, because I really want to play the games. I really want to be active, and I just figured that there's going to be so few of these gold ones that I really, really wanted a gold one. So basically freed up a bit of liquidity to make sure that could happen. And it's just going to be interesting to see what the value prop is going forward. I have a feeling that basically if goblins sort of blow up in terms of the number of users, I feel like some of the yield that's generated by the new goblins is going to go back towards amulet holders in a similar way that I think we'll find that the fluffs accrue value with the flufflets, with the breeding mechanisms that they set up for that. So, but the experience itself, I mean, it's been so fun, the whole gamification and lore around it all. It's been really cool. I know it's been a little bit sort of dragged out a little since we sort of first saw the video with Varlin late last year and whatnot, but it has been a really fun process. In fact, the whole Seekers reveal, I've actually loved it. I know a lot of people hate the drawn out reveals, but given it was a pretty savage bear market we're in anyway, it made no sense for stuff to reveal and not sort of be useful for, close to 12 months. So that sort of, bought them a bit of time. And I think it's been one of the most successful NFT drops ever when you think about the size of it. 48,000 of these guys at 0.1 ETH, and it sold out in 70 minutes. And that was, that was after the markets had actually collapsed. I think it was like maybe April last year. So it's been a pretty impressive effort. And I have a lot of faith that they're going to return value to people through the silo token, through the root token, and just incentives in general. But I've loved the process. It's been fantastic.
Jerry, I want to jump on just for that for a quick second. So they said that Silo was going to be one of the, I guess currencies between like USDC, ETH, and Silo. Do you think that Silo is going to be getting a lot more attention just because of the goblins, or do you see that more coming later back when the nodes come out and are live?
I don't think it's going to have anything directly tying it to goblins. I don't think. I think most of that sort of stuff, I think, is just going to go back towards root, and there'll be sub tokens within that are basically just part of a gamification, like mycelium or carrots or whatever they end up calling them for specific applications. But everything's going to get swapped back to root at that level. I think Silo is going to be more of its own independent system. Obviously, it's going to be using the Futureverse rails and the root network. But I do think it's going to be basically standalone in its value proposition in terms of the Silo token. But, when you think about how much money they raise through the Seekers, that's a lot of money that they can basically use as incentives to bootstrap this network and get as many people as possible running nodes. I found it really interesting, the chat that Aaron McDonald had with Erie, I think it was the other day, that he mentioned there would be thousands of validators, thousands of nodes. So I'm sort of curious if maybe there's a crossover between root network validation and the Silo network. So maybe that's one avenue or angle where they do cross over a bit more. So that'll be really interesting to see all the details around that come out.
There is so much to cover in this show because some of those recent interviews really shed some more light on the technical protocol, automated market maker, all that type of stuff that's going to be coming. But as we follow this path, Schiller, did you let any of those little buddies go from the void to the pits of fire?
Oh, I'm that guy that FOMO'd at the last second. So I had enough void seekers that I was like, oh, this is like almost a fluff. Like that seems kind of weird not to just get another fluff. So I sold the ones I had. I got a fluff, and then like the notion of, oh, this is the first mint on a blockchain that's new or whatever, I was like, damn it, and so I had to figure out what to sell because I don't have a lot. So I think I sold some burros to offers to pick up some voids and did it. And I honestly, the quality of stuff that they keep coming out with is just insane, and it's cool to see. And I know on some session that the gang did forever ago, they talked about how there's like millions and millions of assets that are ready to be in these kind of worlds, and looking at the rings and everything, even though I know that it's like fully polished and like a single object. The Goblin site itself, if you guys did burn, you probably saw like just the I guess we'll call it like in-game graphics, and everything looked absolutely top notch.
Now, you just mentioned liquidity for a moment there, buddy. You did a pretty epic trade recently, is that right?
I'm trying
Didn't
to
you?
think. I don't know if I've done.
Didn't you get out of an ape? Wasn't it something like that?
No. Well, so Boomer's been trying to get me to sell my ape. I guess you're right. It was a while ago. I guess I forget the time, but yeah. So I had my M2 and M1 mutant, and I sold them and just went like all in unfluffed for that. So yeah, that was my big play. But otherwise, yeah.
I see Believins. I see Believins down there laughing.
Yeah, Believins.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. There's a few of us that have moved apes to get into fluff heavier.
Absolutely. But I mean, the lore that started right from the beginning of this whole Seeker experience, you know, it hasn't been, should we say, any typical type of entry into the market regarding how they layered the story all the way through and kept us on our toes. NFT, bro. Now, I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus regarding whether you're Team Seekers or Goblin. I mean, I think we're all both, really. We just want that little bit of exposure to whatever is potentially coming down the pipeline. What was your experience, Josh?
Hey. No, some of us aren't both. Some of you may call me stupid, but I'm definitely Team Seekers. Save all of my Seekers. I think it was a little sad to not be part of the sacrificing, because the website, the lore, everything around it, the team has done an exceptional job. And I was kind of hoping that there might have been something a little more from the Seekers side. I did get involved with the naming functions and the PFP stuff on the Seekers side of things. But yeah, they did say loyalty will be rewarded, so we'll just have to see how that one plays out. And in the recent AMA as well, the Gods and Goblins one, I think it was Will was saying that the Seekers dashboard with the stats and scene sound, or the scene swapping and naming and parts coming along not too long after. So pretty exciting that their dashboard might be going live shortly as well. So yeah, things are going to start ramping up soon.
Man, looking for some favoritism from the Seekers team there, I see. I don't blame you, mate. It's an incredible crew. I don't know if Will, Dorian, Som, I'm sure Monty's in here somewhere as well, but they will be looking after you after those comments. I am absolutely sure. Savon, were you holding any Seekers? Did you pick up any Seekers?
So I minted, no, I don't think I actually caught the mint when it happened, but I got some off secondary. Got one off secondary shortly after. Anybody who follows the Martian Premier League, I want to say that those mints happened around the same time, and I was on the MPL mint. But yeah, had one, and then when hearing about the amulets situation, I grabbed another Void Seeker, and in my head, I was like, I'm not sure if there'll be any real difference, but I just went ahead. I used a different wallet that I don't have most of the Futureverse assets in, and I just sacrificed that Seeker. So not sure if that will show me is maybe a divided mind is worse than someone who's on either side. I don't know. But yeah, sacrificed one, got a bronze amulet. But I'm pretty optimistic that as a whole, what Silo as the protocol itself is doing is going to be really important. And I can't extrapolate out in the same way how everything with Gods and Goblins is going to shake out at this moment. And I just didn't exactly have the liquidity, didn't want to sell certain assets just to be able to step up to a silver or a gold at this moment. Figured when there's more information, I can always grab one off secondary, at some point when there's a dip. So that's how I played it.
Well, Mo, I kind of want to jump in for a second because I think one of the important things that was a huge community debate around this particularly was what's going to be better, like 15 bronze or 1 gold. So does anybody have any kind of thoughts in general about that? And Savon, I guess we can start with you just because you kind of jumped off there for a sec. Do you have any thoughts on how that ratio is going to kind of go? Because everybody's expecting like an allocation of junk and whatnot, but how important do you think it is of the different kind of tiers of, 15 golds compared to, 15 bronze compared to 1 gold?
I think that, the team is bright enough to know that people are going to weigh that math. But to me, it seems like they will be close in what they're able to do, but there might be some slight preference towards the gold just because to make that commitment on the front end. Because generally speaking, liquidity is always better or more available for the lower tier assets that have lower floor prices, and presuming that, obviously the bronze is going to be lower than the gold. So to make that commitment to get the 15 on the front end, I could see there being some kind of, maybe there's a preferential, I don't know if that's 15%, 20%, relative to what 15 of the bronze would do. But I do think that if it was going to go one way, the gold will be technically more advantageous than 15 of the bronze.
Well, with only 4 guests on stage at the moment, we don't need to raise our hands. We can just jump in and out as we like. So just feel free to kick it around.
Okay, noted.
Nah, all good, all good. And anyone in the audience. Oh, Savon, jump back on mute, buddy. And
yes, so 2 things. Oh, sorry, no, go ahead. I misheard what you were saying.
Sorry, your mic's off mute. I'm just throw some feedback through. I was just going to say, anyone in the audience who wants to jump up, Tybo, all the normal sort of faces down there in the room, please join us on this one. This is a community chat. It's completely open. We've just got all the guys up here who have a lot of the answers and a lot of speculation, so I want to make the most of it. Wow, I can see Love for Crypto trying to reconnect again. Come on, Scotty. You can do it. All right, yeah, Savon, back to you, buddy. What did you want to add?
Yes, first off, I just saw Monty wanted to say thank you so much for shipping out the merch. Really, really appreciate that. Super high quality stuff. Really thoughtful of y'all to do that. And then when we're ready to talk about ASM, I'm actually, I just pulled up Schiller, your wallet on OpenSea, and unless it's in your vault, I noticed that you don't actually hold any brains. And so I just kind of feel like that could be something interesting to discuss that decision. Jerry thought down.
Yo, he got me. So it's funny. It's similar to the situation where I had the voids and there was enough to get a FLUF. I did that same thing where I had like 4 Gen 1 brains and I was like, this is a FLUF. Listen, I think I want to grab another one. So that's the only reason I don't.
Oh, look, I'm happy to kick it over to ASM and we just jump around, man. How did that chat go? Was it yesterday, Savon, with David?
Yeah, it was yesterday. It was good. So I'm sure y'all recall, man. There was an AMA. Maybe it was late last year or super early in January, and y'all know when that like weeks long back and forth inside the Discord kicked off when people were like, yo, so we thought it was Gen 1 brains, had the special splicing capability, but David was like, no, actually, Gen 1 and Gen 2 brains can do a lot of the same things. And there was just this lack of clarity there for a while. Y'all remember that, correct?
Yep, 100%.
All right, so I know that I've been out of the Discord for a bit these last few weeks, and I don't know if he ever came out and stated it explicitly, but I asked him very point blank because last I heard, they were still trying to figure that out, but it was clarified and confirmed. Gen 1 brains are the only ones that can splice. From this splicing, they will create an intermediary level derivative that is above the Gen 2s. Gen 2s are literally the floor that is always designed to be the cheapest way, the easiest way for someone to get a brain in the ecosystem. But derivatives of Gen 1 brains will be above Gen 2 in terms of just, I guess, their rank or their level. And you will need 2 Gen 1 brains to splice and create derivatives. So we got that on record. Don't know how the confusion, I was feeling like I was crazy because he didn't seem to remember. And I'm like, yo, this was definitely a thing where it sounded like y'all weren't sure if that was going to be the case. But got that clarity on that
Well,
point.
you couldn't have told me that before you told the whole community. No, I don't even have the liquidity for another Gen 1. I'm sitting on one Gen 1. I can't put two together. But that's very interesting. I mean, that's stuff we really needed to know. And we've got Tybo up on stage. You want anything to add at this point, buddy?
Yeah, I was talking at that point with the whole idea of having, just needing one Gen 1 brain. And I think eventually, I still think that could be a good idea. But I like the idea of at least 2 years of exclusivity of needing two Gen 1s. And then over time, the idea that I'm thinking is that if you make it only having one Gen 1, you allow, as adoption happens on the ASM protocol, you allow more people who only need one Gen 1 brain to participate in splicing. And I think that would create more demand for the Gen 1 brains, because there's only so many people that can hold two Gen 1s. So it's always going to limit the supply of how many people will be able to participate. But the idea, I think, as a compromise is maybe we can vote in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, to make it only having one Gen 1 brain, and then that can bring more people to be able to splice, which then creates more demand, and it won't, in my opinion, devalue the Gen 1 brains at all. So that's still a while away, but that was my original thoughts on still keeping people with the original promise happy, because we're still in the early stages of adoption, but then over time we can get more people to participate and and get involved, but if they only need to hold one Gen 1 brain, because I think these assets are going to become more and more expensive. And I like the idea of things having value, but if there's no actual real reason to gatekeep for the sake of it, then I like to open up it a little bit, and get more people participating. But that's just my thoughts on the matter.
Hold on, we've just had Jerry get rugged. I got to bring him back up. I'm just going to hand it over quickly to Schiller. Do you have anything to add to this point while I try and get Jerry back on stage?
Yeah, no, it's kind of interesting. I think that one of the components of this that, if I'm understanding right, and I could be wrong, is that they're wanting to have a lot of this stuff kind of like as a DAO or voting and whatnot. And so I'm assuming within time, certain things could go through a vote like that where it's figured out how that goes. But to Savon's point a minute ago, it's really interesting to hear that the Gen 2 brains are kind of like the floor, and then the ones that are spliced from the Gen 1 brains are technically just slightly better from that. NFT bro or Tybo, do you got any thoughts on that component of it?
I think just value proposition, it's spliced memories, and when you think about it, you're splicing two brains with two sets of memories. So two Gen 1 brains with vastly different memories are all being synced into one new spliced brain. So just on a technical standpoint, it's going to be more valuable than a plain Gen 2.
NFT bro, any kind of extra thoughts with the way the brains are shaping up here?
No, not at the moment. All I'll say is that the one spaces this week that I didn't have time to join was that the AI ASM gaming space, and I heard that I missed quite a lot of alpha in that and potential use cases for this ASM AI. Has anyone got a quick rundown?
Oh, look, that was a really great show, more because of the format they chose to go for, where traditionally in ASM spaces or AMA of any sort is going to be all about announcements, a lot of questions saying when, and then people hunting for alpha. And this show wasn't that. Obviously, there was Boomer and I think it was Jerome up on stage, but it was just a lot more fun talking about gaming. We talked a lot about the AI, but I think more information came out on Max and Som's show Down the Rabbit Hole yesterday regarding the AI. So I'd recommend going back and having a listen to that one, because the AI or the FIFA was covered heaps.
Yeah, and Brooke Howard-Smith, he always leaks stuff, doesn't he? So he was a bit leaky yesterday, I thought, with some of the stuff he was saying around ASM, especially about being able to tailor it for businesses. He seemed pretty enthused that the tech and the patents that ASM have puts him in a really unique position to help some of these bigger organizations. And I keep hearing, the jungle drums keep beating around something with Amazon. So who knows? That'll be fascinating to see come out. I see Amazon's got their NFT marketplace launching on the 24th of April. So who knows? Hopefully that has something to do with the Futureverse.
Savon.
Yeah, on that point, David and I talked about that. So one thing that from the AMA that they did 2 days ago that was really made things click for me. I just hadn't thought about it in this light before. But the point, because I always had them tied together, the AI and the personalization. That is not how it works. The brain is just the pass-through conduit, and all of the personalization is tied to the other patents and tech that they're building with the donuts and the Futureverse Pass and all of that. So with that information, that's when I asked David basically flat out, because, we're talking about that whole premise about how the data is the new oil, and most people are just giving that away for free to these mega entities. And we saw ChatGPT-4 get released yesterday and all of that. And so it was two things I asked David. One of them was like, hey, so in theory, would there be a way for ASM to have some sort of extension? Let's think of like a Chrome browser extension where people flip a switch and now the data that they are, generating through their browsing activity behaviors, it now passed through ASM, but they've opted into it. And now that makes them eligible for that kind of feedback system where they are compensated for providing that data. And he said that is entirely feasible. And then the second thing that this really got my mind going at was because the first part was based on the premise that, hey, these larger organizations, the Googles, the Amazons, at some point, they're going to have to make adjustments as it relates to data and privacy. And either that's going to be for altruistic reasons, which, probably not, but definitely for regulatory reasons, if nothing else. And so that being the case, how do they cross that chasm and kind of unwind what they've done with some of this privacy stuff and get themselves viewed in a more favorable light and just kind of move with the times. So the way ASM's design definitely allows for that. And on the other side, I asked him if, in theory, knowing that the brain is the conduit, wouldn't that mean that the brain should allow people access to any AI technology, be it ChatGPT, Midjourney, DALL-E, or any other sort of thing, and then that personalization component is tied to the future pass and not to the brain itself, which allows the capability to be far more extensive than what ASM is building out directly themselves. And he also said, yes, that's how it's designed to work. And he mentioned some of the multi-billion-dollar partnerships. You don't got to call, I'm not on the screen. Some of the multi-billion-dollar partnerships that they have set up, being open-minded and exploring those routes. So, yeah, man. Yeah, I'm hyped to see how this all looks, a year or two down the road.
That's awesome. You have the family there in the background I can hear too, like we all do, man. That's just how we have to roll with this stuff. But we've got to get this information out. So, man, I love that. That is so awesome. But the Future Pass, that was almost too seamless. It was scary, I don't want to say it's scary, but that's what it's going to need to be. The ability to onboard into this whole ecosystem, if that's the first step, that is an incredibly achievable step. Does anyone want to add anything to that whole Future Pass process and what that next step might be?
I guess they're just going to add more functionality with the Future Pass, and we'll be able to interact with the root network more. But it blew my mind. I was expecting connecting to MetaMask, putting in some routing network to connect to the root network, but no, it was just a couple of clicks. Root got my amulets, and then it was done. Really impressed with what it was so far, and excited to see it develop more.
This might be kind of like a weird viewpoint on it, but knowing that we can bridge our assets and security and whatnot for the root network's a big component of it. I think that it's constantly being on Twitter, at least, and seeing, every single day people losing their stuff from phishing scams, hacks, whatever. If there's a way where we can take our Futureverse assets, bridge it over, and knowing it's 100% safe, I think that is genuinely a complete game changer in the space, because it takes what we have right now and then it turns it into, kind of like Flow with Top Shot or whatever have you.
That's exactly what I was thinking. How quick can I get my assets off Ethereum and out of that MetaMask wallet and into a different scenario where I feel better about it? Because I don't know how MetaMask works? I don't. But I know the team behind the Futureverse and how they're ticking all the boxes to get this right. And I'd rather have it with them, safely custodied, than in a system that I don't understand. Jerry?
Yeah, I was just going to say on that point, like there's a video I did on the Auto blockchain, which is the other missing piece to this, and it's going to be deeply entrenched into the root network. Essentially, I think it's going to be a shard, but that's going to unlock all the extra DeFi utility around all of our assets as well. So you'll be able to use them on the Auto blockchain, even if they're on root, or vice versa. You'll be able to move your stuff across to Auto where it goes into an insured custodian, and that's for all these native assets. So you can put native BTC, you can put native ADA from Cardano, BNB, Ethereum, all of it. And on the native blockchain, it goes into the custodian's address, but it gets linked to your Auto blockchain account. And then suddenly you can unlock all these DeFi applications around your assets. So I'm going to be putting everything I have across over there, because I just want to get out of the unfortunate situation that the EVM blockchains, they're just so heavily targeted. And, MetaMask itself is a huge vector for so many people. And I like the idea of my stuff being insured and protected, so I can sort of sleep a bit easier at night and just be in a safe DeFi space. Because if you've never used DeFi, it really is the Wild West over on Ethereum, because anyone can spin anything up. But with Auto, everything needs to be voted on, vetted and approved before it even goes online. And everyone needs to be KYC compliant. So you're in a much safer space there. I know it's not quite, true open and decentralization, but we need something in the middle to help bridge, institutional money and new investors to come across and feel safe and protected.
But the next question is, what is the cost involved of moving low value assets like the Gen 2 brains from where we have them now onto the root network? What do you think the solution might be? Anyone got any ideas?
Yeah, in the white paper, Mo, they've got state bridging listed as one of the functionalities. So I believe the way that works is it can have a look at the state of your actual assets over on the Ethereum blockchain and go, okay, Mo's got this brain, but he's been training it in AFA, or the next legend's over on root, and it just updates basically a state table over on the root side and references that within that domain. But the actual asset still exists in your wallet over on Ethereum, which saves you the need to bridge it. And if it's a low cost asset, as you said, it doesn't make a whole lot of economic sense to bridge stuff across. God knows what gas is going to be like in the next bull cycle over on Ethereum, especially when you have all these layer 2 chains spinning up and generating a lot of transactions. So that might be the way they go about it, or it might be just one of those ones where we just have to grit our teeth and slowly migrate stuff across and work out that value prop in terms of when gas is low. And unfortunately, that might be the case. So we'll just have to wait and see.
I just saw Schiller laugh when you said bull cycle. What are you laughing at, Schiller? You thinking the next Bitcoin halving, XRP, Ripple, SEC settlement? Like, what's going to bring on a bull run? Do we go there?
Well, I think the bigger problem is that whether it's a bull run or like a bear market, like if we crash like hell, Ethereum gas fees are also going to be brutal as well. So I definitely think that's a huge concern for people that do have more assets. But like overall, again, like I really am liking how everything's shaping up. I know that it's taking a little bit, but I don't know if anybody's got any kind of quarrels with certain things. And I know the Void protocol with the ASM has been interesting because people don't love it, even though I think it's kind of fun. But overall, I really like how the ecosystem is really flushing out at the start of this year.
I want to know more about the whole Void gamification they've brought in recently. Is anyone using it? Like, is it kind of like button bashing, like fastest finger first? How does this whole work with these Void pools that are coming up?
I asked David about that as well. And he made it very clear that it is something that will be ongoing, and they're doing the best they can to, one, spread it out geographically, as far as also time zones, so people can participate at different times. And he did also double down, like we were speaking about yesterday, that it's not intended for people to go out and try to, stabilize everything, but really is just something that is connected to the lore and the story of Illyria and the All-Stars themselves. So I tried to see if he would share more light on the whole brains being land thing. We didn't dive too much into that side of it, but yeah, it's going to be something ongoing. There'll be more opportunities for it. But he did also say he wanted to make it very clear, none of it is intended to be a DeFi mechanism or a DeFi protocol in the slightest, and they're just thinking about how to gamify the story and make it something that's fun to engage with, not necessarily anything that can generate returns or any of that sort of thing.
Yeah, so it's not about exactly farming, it's more about participation and interaction and keeping everyone engaged, which does make a lot of sense. There are so many other topics here I think we need to touch on. I don't want to leave the party bears out because those Buzzy reveals have been incredible and they all happened since we last recorded a show. I've got one. I've got the Irradiated. I don't know if this guy's going to have abilities to go into only that area and others can't go in there. I'd love some speculation around the Buzzies because I think the team have done just such an incredible job. Oh, they look amazing. Who's got one?
I just think the effort and the complexity of the different bags, the unique wings, there was a random 30-minute chat in the Discord with Off Track, the product manager of the Buzzies, and I just talked his ear off asking him all these questions, and essentially I just think people are fading Buzzies given the price action on them at the moment. And I understand we're in a bear market and liquidity's tight, but I just think there's something special, and you put two and two together. They've worked so hard on this like product with each unique asset that it just seems like there's going to be some pretty delicious utility for them that I think people will want to participate in some way, shape, or form. And I'm definitely going to be accumulating more over the next 6 months, just because whether we find out through the Third Kingdom white paper that Aaron gave us a little sneak peek of, giving us more information on what all these assets do. But I just think that everything that FLUF World and the team bring out as an NFT, it's not just a dead weight. Everything has a reason for being there. And it just seems strange to me that the amount of effort that they've put into Buzzies is just worth 0.08 ETH at the moment. But yeah, that's where I'm thinking about it.
And there's not really much more we can say about the Buzzies until we learn more about them. So, agreed, they are incredible and you wouldn't want to be sleeping on them. You want to at least have one, but that's not financial advice. Shilla, because of your chat with Jeff recently, I've been looking at the latest that's coming out of Atom Car Club, especially with Wilder World, that garage they put out. Do we know anything more about where Atom is at?
I think everything's just going as planned. I think they're working on parts for the cars right now, but most of the things are figured out. Obviously, there was the one, for anyone that doesn't know, there is a card within the Atom collection that is unrevealed that has kind of what looks to be a seeker scanning the wall, and then it shows like Atom Car Club on the wall. But yeah, so I think everything's just like rolling as is, and I'm kind of wondering, and this is kind of a little bit off track to the question, and apologize, but in the video with Ari, the XRP lady, he highlighted about how they were waiting for the Ripple automatic market maker to go live, and I tried looking that up, and it showed that the articles about that, of like the beta testing or whatever, was live at the end of November of last year. So I'm curious if that's one of the things that the team's waiting on, because it's weird that we have so many assets, and I think that with knowing that there's a million of them or whatever that are ready to be in this metaverse, what's kind of the next step, whether it's the root launch or whatever. But I think all these different collections, from Buzzies to Atom to the other collections that are partnered with Futureverse, are kind of all at this stage of, there's not necessarily certain announcements because everything is tied to the big release of everything. And I might be wrong with that, but I thought that it was a particularly interesting thing if they are waiting for something from Ripple.
Yeah, that automated market maker, what Ripple's putting on top there, because they've already got the order book in the system with their decks, to add that market maker on top means they have the ability to create these incredible liquidity pools where they can create these arbitrage opportunities that has never been done before, where arbitraging actually works to the network's advantage. But we're not going to go there because I want you guys to cover the fun stuff. Now, Goblin Junk Dot, we saw with the TNL drop, exactly how by clicking the little icon, we can change what sort of character we got for our boxes. We didn't get to choose, but we knew that affected it. Now, we've seen a bit of stuff happening with the goblins as well, just how individually they can all possibly be. How do you think this mechanic works? And are we just going to have millions of these individual goblins running around? Because that sounds incredible to me.
Before I continue, a quick word from our sponsors that make the show possible.
Introducing Fraz Cola, the world's premier beer-flavored beverage.
It's Fraz, delicious, highly nutritious with a top-secret recipe that's so delicious.
Nothing beats the buzz of a cool Fraz Cola. What are you waiting for?
We're getting Fraz to the NAS.
Consume at your own risk. Symptoms may include and death.
Who's on the goblin? Who's Team Goblin, Jerry?
I guess I'll be getting some goblins, hopefully with some junk from my amulets. But it was interesting to see the pricing around it. I found that was really interesting to sort of shed some light on. It's going to cost $20 basically in US dollars to buy a goblin if you're coming in as a new entrant. So you've got to weigh up your value prop of your junk NFTs and maybe even the gas fees around burning it at the time. Who knows? Like you might go, actually, while this particular NFT is pretty well regged, it's going to cost me $10 in gas. I may as well just hang on to it in case something comes out of this whatever the NFT is. So I guess that's one side of it. Maybe they can do that over on Root where it doesn't cost you any gas. I'm not sure how that would work. But yeah, I'm quite curious to see how the actual character generation side of it works as well. As you said, we saw a sort of a sneak peek with the Next Legends, and if you didn't participate in that, basically you had to move your mouse around a screen, and it seemed to affect what traits, body shape traits and whatnot that you got, but it wasn't really clear what your mouse clicks and movements were doing. So I'm hoping this time we actually can see, and we can start stretching out, the body shape and, the jawline and various aspects of it to truly personalize it. That would be really cool and really fun. So I kind of hope it's less random and a bit more specific, and people can tailor their goblins however they see fit. And it'll be really fun to see all the weird and wonderful shapes people have actually chosen. So maybe that's how it plays out, or maybe it's all just, behind the curtain and you don't exactly see what your clicks are going to generate. So I can't wait for it to happen. It sounds like it was due to happen in March, so we'll see if that's still the case. I noticed there's a lot of other ecosystem dates that seem to be aligning towards next week. So you've got the Genesis blocks for the Auto blockchain, that happens on the 22nd. The Mintage trunk reveals, that happens on the 23rd. So things are clearly happening in the background. And I guess we're still waiting to bridge across our fluffs and party bears as well. So, it sounds like the next 2 weeks, a lot could still drop. So looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Sorry, just a quick question. Are we confirmed that the red packages they talked about before was Root? Or is there a chance that that's not Root?
Full speculation at this point. We don't know what's in those packages.
Okay.
Most people have already moved on and completely forgotten about the packages. But everything at the moment, it's a game. You participate, you interact with what they want you to interact with. I mean, we saw that, was it your thingy that painted that burrow the other day? Because I think we should talk about the burrows quickly. I want to be conscious of time, just because we do have the DRX space coming up in about 10 minutes. And I'll talk about that in a moment. But just regarding the burrows, this whole acquisition of IP, I think it's a great thing because, as we know, we need to have all the teams on the same page. Was that your thingy that painted that Schiller?
Yeah, and some other people commented below it, highlighting theirs, and it's the new 3D version for the thingy art. So if you have a thingy, I think anybody can do it. It's just that one particularly looked more like a burrow, and it's really cool. And I mean, obviously, we're seeing similar to when Buzzies were revealed. There's always a tweet the day before, and then they're like, hey, here's the reveal, where it's right before. And so when they made that announcement in the Discord, I know it's not a tweet, but it kind of gave me the notion of hey, okay, something with the burrows is coming, and the team highlighting, hey, we put more money into it than we made from anything regarding the burrows previously was interesting. And I think that it's something that's going to probably be pretty big. But if you look at the whole space as a whole, I think that we haven't seen a very good use case of land apart from staking. So I'm curious if these guys are going to do it differently.
Yeah, I mean, I've got 2 burrows and I absolutely adore them. I can't wait for them to come into play. Excuse me. So I'm just going to chuck it around the room now, just conscious of time. So I want to wrap this up in about 10 minutes. I just want to know what everyone's most excited for at the moment in the Futureverse? When you are looking at your wallet, when you are looking at the roadmap, because there's so much going on, are you excited for what Adam's doing? Are you looking at more of the AI side? Where is your attention at the moment, and what are you most excited about? Where should we go with this first? You know what, Tybo, I might start with you, buddy.
I think Tybo just disconnected or something. I think he just got.
But we just got Bildo Verde up on the stage, and so if you've got your mic on, buddy, I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, just thank you for having me up. Couple of things real quick. From what I see on my reminder for the DRX Spaces, it starts as an hour and 10 minutes. So we may just want to confirm that time so we don't cut this off early if we're having good discussion.
Brooke just, sorry, Bildo. Brooke just posted that he's in 10 minutes time. So,
yeah, I saw him post that, but it wouldn't be the first time that maybe Brooke got a little confused with his times with the time differences. But like as far as like the reminder from the DRX actual site of when it's supposed to start, it's in an hour and 8 minutes. So
okay,
just
cool.
maybe want to confirm that. My other question, I guess, would be maybe for Mo. I don't know whether to say thank you or blame you, but after you have shared all of the Crypto Airy and the Mickey B, my YouTube algorithm keeps telling me I should watch more and more XRP videos. And I saw something today that they were waiting on something going live in about 6 days. So I was just kind of curious if maybe you thought that may have played into the effect of why things may have been delayed a little bit on the root side, or what your thoughts on how that might play in for the Futureverse as well.
These guys are so tightly interconnected at the moment because to have all the superpowers that we want the root network to have relies very heavily on the XRPL. And with David Schwartz, who's the CTO of Ripple, having such, let's say, the guy's a genius. And if you've ever seen him speak, you'll realize that that guy can do a monologue like no one else. And the amount of information in there is almost impossible to unpack without watching it at half speed. Yes, there is a lot of things happening on the XRPL at the moment, and especially with the XLS20 tokens, and with that definitely automated market maker that needs to go live to facilitate everything else. I will just give, shall we say, a caveat regarding XRP content creators. It was so important to have Eddie, Mickey B. Fresh. There's a few out there that really deserve to have the Futureverse's eyes on them because they're really good at what they do and they stay away from all the nonsense. And we know in any space, there's a lot of nonsense that goes on. So yes, the XRP community, they're getting the information from these guys at the moment. They're intrigued by it, which is amazing. And so they should be. But there's so much to unpack that I'm just getting a message from Trevor now that it was set up at the wrong time and it kicks off in 5 minutes. So yes, guys, the DRX will be kicking off in 5 minutes. So I'm gonna get back to our hot lap around the room. All I can say is when you see information being shared on these XRP channels, go to the comments. And if you see information in the comments that is incorrect, as politely as possible, try and correct it. Simply say, hey, great video, but you know, it is actually a layer 1 and it's a substrate proof of stake. Layer 2 XRPL. But I'm going to jump back down around the room. Hopefully that answered your question, Bildo. And yes, 5 minutes till the DRX goes live, and I'll talk about that in just a second. NFT, bro, what are you most excited about, man? Let me know.
Oh, there's too many things to be excited about at the moment. I think I'm really excited to see what we get in these last, 460 something buzzies to be revealed. Are they all going to be Cosmos buzzies? Are we going to see some giant buzzies? So really looking forward to that. I'm still trying to wrap my head fully around this whole ASM AI side of things, and the AI League. Excited to get an opportunity to test that. Hopefully that comes to iPhone. So those are probably the two big things at the moment. Yeah, super excited. And also the junk. Got some NFTs I'd love to get rid of. So hopefully that all works out.
Man, really appreciate having you here today, buddy. And we're going to have to do this again sooner than waiting a month or so like last time, because we're missing a couple of key characters up on stage. And I need to hear their opinions. All right, Schiller, what are you most excited for?
So FLUF World posted the other day about like it was a seeker, a goblin, a party bear, and a fluff, and it was in that like cinematic quality, which has stirred up a bunch of discussions if the fluff's going to get reworked at all. And just seeing the high level of quality of that, wondering, is that going to be a show? Is that something within a game? What is that created from? I think that particularly something that gets me really excited, because I think, again, the team's been producing top quality, and I think it's hard to ignore in this space if that is something that is, you know, actually in game or a part of a huge movie.
Yeah, those graphics are absolutely incredible. And that's just going to shock the whole world when they think PFP, you know, pictures of monkeys type stuff. No, this is the Futureverse. So Vaughn, what are you excited about, buddy?
AI, I'm really looking forward to when we see how ASM is going to work on a larger scale, you know, where I can pull it up right beside some of the work I'm doing and lean on it to leverage it outside of the gaming applications. And then as well, what's going to happen with the music on that side of things too. But really even learning more about the boroughs, because I think it really would be a cool space to be able to do some live streams from, and be able to have content exist inside of that space and allow people who want to experience it or look around in VR, AR, and how that all connects together.
As many of you will know, I used to have the handle MoMetaMusic, because the whole NFT Web3 music space, well, that's my bag. I absolutely love it, and I still do. And so this whole Spotify connection and where we're building out, we've got Shara from Raised in Space and all her connections. So music is going to be playing a massive role in this, but we'll just have to wait and see. Jerry, what's going on, buddy?
Yeah, I'm also quite keen on the AI music generation stuff. So I assume that's going to have some relation to these party packs whenever they're due to drop. And apparently that is going to be a paid mint. So that'll be interesting to see, you know, the value prop around those. I'm really looking forward to that. But I've been like really impressed with this FIFA AI League and the app and how well it's been working. And the fact that it's seemingly got these connections back into the root network at the back end and you just don't even know about it. That's really impressive proof of concept as to how seamless it all is. And to do that through a mobile app, like we're going to be able to onboard people who have never done anything with Web3 in their lives. And I just think that's super significant. So hopefully all these other applications and games that they're building out have a similar gateway, whether it's a web browser or a mobile game. I just think it's super impressive, and yeah, really excited to see how it all comes together with the root network launching properly.
Thanks for being here, Jerry. And all the guests up on stage, can we please make sure we follow them? We go and we check out their channels, we subscribe, we like their videos, because we want more and more content coming out. And they don't know whether to make it or not unless we show them that we want it. So I appreciate that. Now, as for what I'm most excited about, well, that's to put on my new merch from the Futureverse and walk down the street and see how many people recognize the FLUF World logo, ASM, you know, get one of those cheeky winks. It's like, yeah, I'm team FLUF. That is going to be super cool. I can't wait to experience that. Now, I don't know when this merch is going to be available to everybody, but on that, Monty, the whole team, thanks for the merch. Like, it does mean a lot. I know the whole crew got it, and just recognizing us and acknowledging the work we put in. I understand the Futureverse is not a company that wants to pay content creators, but just when the media teams, the social media teams shares our posts, when FLUF World shares a post from one of us, it means a lot. And those messages you sent to us, they mean a lot too. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap things up here. Because we couldn't get Chris, CryptoPunk, or Scotty P, Love for Crypto up on stage, man, we're just gonna have to do this show again real soon. But until then, head over to the DRX channel. There's a pinned tweet at the top. They're going to mint coming up, and you're not going to want to miss it. Thanks again, guys. Look forward to seeing you real soon. Later.
Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and maybe consider watching one of my other videos. Bunnies up!